Welcome back to At Home with Roby. I'm Patrick McIsaac from Roby Electric, along with Trent Haston from the Roby family of companies. We are your hosts. We just wrapped up with Greg Wiley, entrepreneur. His business name is Ingitecture. He has started it back in February. Greg is a practicing engineer. And Trent, one thing I don't think that we've mentioned as much as maybe we should, just because of the ties we have with Greg are really more from the electrical standpoint, but Greg can do it all from an engineering aspect in a commercial structure. Mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection. He really can do everything.
So he's full service. So if you have a commercial need, that's what he'll handle for you.
Call him
on the engineering. But boy, I'm glad he's gone. That guy's a big talker. As he's still sitting here looking at us. Greg's sticking around to laugh a little bit.
He gave you the Ron Haston eye.
But this is my favorite segment of the show. Everybody knows that our 10th annual, or if you don't know, our 10th annual Cornhole tournament that supports the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Central and Western North Carolina is coming up on September the 16th. So for the 10 weeks leading up to the show, we're going to tell a wish story and make it personal.
I mean, absolutely.
And the goal in this is to spread the word about Make-A-Wish, let everybody at home learn more about it, learn about these kids, learn about what they go through, and then also to drive sponsors. Our sponsor deadline is August the 11th. That's how we raise and grant wishes for these families. So,
I think it goes without saying, I mean, if you haven't listened to the show for very long, I mean, this isn't a cornhole tournament with 4 or 5 teams, right? I mean, we have over 200 teams. I would guess, 5, 6, 7, maybe 800,000 people at the actual event. And the goal is to raise $200,000. Is that right?
The goal this year is to raise over 200, maybe
200.
about 210. I think this year, if we do that, we will be in 10 years like $1.5 million over that raised to grant wishes for kids with life-threatening illnesses, and we do have 2 Guinness Book of World Record plaques on our wall for the largest cornhole tournament in the world. We have the real thing.
Yeah, that's
we
true.
broke our own record. We're back-to-back Guinness Book champs,
like
and
that
I don't
T-shirt.
think anybody's broke our official record, so we checked that box. But, Patrick, why don't you tell us about Parker?
Okay, I will. So Parker is a kid that has always been wild about animals. When Parker was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, his stuffed animals kept him company. I mean, that hits right at home for any of us with young kids. I mean, you know how important a stuffed animal is to a young child. So his stuffed animals kept him company during long hours of doctor's appointments and treatments. He knew without a doubt that he wanted to be a zookeeper, Trent. So not only did he become a zookeeper, a limo took Parker and his family to his first day on the job, where he received his official uniform, his name badge, and he spent the afternoon touring the zoo, going behind the scenes of the habitats and feeding and taking care of the animals just like he could, like his stuffed animals. But it was real. I mean, so you can imagine how the thrill this guy had. So after the whiz, Parker's mom said that one of the scariest parts of his treatment was he wasn't himself. His personality had sort of disappeared a little bit. But after this treatment, it was clear that Parker was back to his outgoing, excited, smiling self. If that doesn't get you going, I don't know.
Man, that's awesome. And that's
cool?
what the medicine that a wish granted for a child is. You know, there's 3 ways they can: to be, or to do, or to experience, or to meet. And Parker was to be a zookeeper. But the great thing about it is, man, it brings these kids and these families back to life. And that's my favorite part. And then all the peripheral stuff that goes along with it. I'm sure they gave Parker some sweet stuffed animals. I'm sure the uniform was awesome. And I'm sure the limo was great and all that good stuff. And brighten Parker and his family's day and be a source of great medicine. So that's wonderful, Patrick. Now, since we're talking about kids and you talked about what stuffed animals mean to them, I'm going to tell you a little story about something that I said I would never do about a month ago. And you and I always joke about how when we say never, it's going to happen. And I said I would never buy a fidget spinner. That is the new gadget for a kid.
We purchased some of those.
And I let my 3 girls go to Bargain Beach when we were down at the beach a couple weeks ago, and I did a little science experiment. I said, each of y'all have $20. Go pick. My oldest, Tatum, is a gadget woman. She bought 5 99-cent fidget spinners in conjunction with her other crap to get to $20. My middle child, Rowan, who's very sweet, only bought one Myrtle Beach long sleeve T-shirt that she wore for 3 or 4 days after she bought it, which was so cool. I came home last night, and Piper, my youngest, had her shirt on. I said, "Why are you wearing a Rowan shirt?" And Rowan said, "Because I share things like that." But she felt guilty spending $20, so she only spent like $7.99 on that shirt. And then Piper picked out, she's a tomboy, she picked out some Batman stuff, some machine guns that make noises and all that stuff like I had when I was a kid. And then I was going to surprise him and buy a skateboard at the end, a real colorful skateboard. And I said, "Piper, come here. What skateboard do you like?" And she said, "I like that one." I said, "Well, what about this one?" She said, "No, I like that one." I said, "Okay, I'll get that one." So I went up there and I said, "We're buying the skateboard for the family as a little kicker with my fidget spinner as well." And Piper said, "No, that's my skateboard." And I said, "What are you talking about? You're getting the guns." She said, "Put all that back. I want this to be my skateboard." So Piper's the boss. She's the skateboard boss. I don't know if y'all remember when we got Wiley, our puppy. She's the dog father. We got kind of in the Snoop family. No, but Piper's the tough one. So now we got some cool toys and got to experience our Bargain Beach, where it's kind of a childhood memory I have of my dad letting me buy a little bit of crap through all his conservatism.
No, that's cool, and I think the experiment that you had, that probably had to be pretty fun to sit back and watch.
So now I'm putting this cool brass, it was $18, I talked her down to $15, fidget spinner that I invested in. It's going to be sitting in my office. So Patrick, if you ever have something on your mind or get nervous, you can come talk to me and pay me $400 an hour for my consultation. So
I hear you.
Well, you got any parting shots?
I don't, but Trent, I think you're going to be out of town. We've got a guest host next week.
Oh, wow. You really want to let the public know that? Hey,
maybe more people
still try to listen to the show. Don't let
McGuire.
It deter you. But if you don't want to listen to the show since I'm not on it, you can podcast some of our older shows. So
Ken Szymanski from the Greater Charlotte Apartment Association will be our guest, and David McGuire, Chief Operating Officer of Andrew Roby, will be the guest host. I will be here, folks.
Hey, watch a video on Parker on our website, Pitchin, Pitchin, for wishes.com. Check it out and podcast our shows. Have a wonderful Sunday, and we'll be back next week on the At Home with Brody show. Thank you for listening.